The Forbidden Zone. The massive crystal dome of the Galactic Trade Federation's central headquarters sparkled against the backdrop of three suns. Inside the Grand Council chamber, representatives from over 200 species gathered for the most important meeting in 5 centuries. The air buzzed with tension as thousands of beings filled the tiered seating that spiraled up toward the glowing ceiling. Ambassador Crix of the Vorthak Empire stood at the center of the chamber. His tall, muscular frame was covered in dark blue scales that reflected the chamber's lights. As one of the galaxy's most respected diplomats, his words carried weight across the known systems. Today, he had called this emergency session to address something that had puzzled the galaxy for generations. Fellow beings of the Federation, Crix began, his deep voice echoing through the chamber. For 500 years, we have maintained trade routes, established colonies, and built relationships across 40,000 star systems. Every species in this galaxy has joined our great Federation through diplomacy or conquest. Every species except one. Murmurs rippled through the crowd. Everyone knew what was coming next. The humans of the Sol system remain the only species with absolute territorial protection. No ship may enter their space. No communication may be attempted. No trade may be established. For 5 centuries, we have honored this agreement, but I ask you today, why should one small species control 12 star systems while contributing nothing to galactic civilization? Chancellor Vex of the Crystalline Confederation raised her translucent hand. Her body looked like living diamond, refracting light in beautiful patterns as she spoke. Ambassador Crix, surely you remember the historical records. Every attempt to contact the humans has resulted in disaster. The Morgoth fleet disappeared entirely. The Centauri exploration ships returned with their crews speaking in unknown languages. The trade convoy from Epsilon Prime came back claiming they had experienced 3 months in human space, though they were only gone for 3 days. Crix's eyes flashed with frustration. Old stories, Chancellor. Myths created to justify our cowardice. The humans have never threatened us. They have never expanded beyond their borders. They simply exist, taking up valuable space that could house millions of our citizens. Commander Borax of the Hive Mind Collective clicked his mandibles together, creating a sound like grinding metal. His insect-like form stood 8 feet tall, with 4 arms and compound eyes that reflected the room like mirrors. The collective attempted contact 73 years ago. Our drones entered the outer edge of human space. They transmitted data for exactly 4 minutes and 17 seconds, then all communication ceased. When we sent recovery ships, we found the drones floating in space, completely intact but empty. Their AI cores were blank, as if their consciousness had simply vanished. Perhaps, said Crix, his voice rising with passion, it is time we stopped being afraid of ghost stories and demanded answers. The humans occupy some of the richest systems in this galaxy. Their sun provides energy that could power a dozen worlds. Their planet sits at the perfect distance for terraforming similar worlds. Yet they hoard these resources while billions of our people live in overcrowded colonies. The chamber erupted into arguments. Some species supported Crix's position, tired of the mystery that had haunted the galaxy for so long. Others remembered the old warnings and feared what might happen if the ancient treaties were broken. High Admiral Nexus of the Robotic Imperium projected his holographic form to the center of the chamber. His mechanical body was sleek and chrome, with glowing blue circuits running along his limbs. The Imperium's quantum computers have analyzed all available data about human space. Our calculations show a 97% probability that any expedition into their territory will result in total mission failure. We recommend maintaining current protocols. Your computers, Crix replied with a sneer, are programmed by fear, just like the rest of you. I propose we send a small, peaceful expedition to the edge of human space. Not to invade or threaten, but simply to make contact and ask why they isolate themselves from the galaxy. As the debate raged on, none of the representatives noticed that their discussion was being monitored by sensors they could not detect. Far away in the Sol system, humans were already aware of the growing movement to violate their space. They had been listening to galactic communications for centuries, understanding far more about their neighbors than anyone suspected. Dr. Elena Vasquez sat in the Earth Defense Command Center, buried 3 miles beneath the Rocky Mountains. Her dark eyes studied the holographic display showing the Federation's council chamber. As the Director of Xenological Affairs, she had been tracking the political movements that might threaten Earth's isolation for decades. "They are getting bolder," she said to General Harrison Cole, who stood beside her reviewing tactical reports. The general was a tall man with gray hair and kind eyes, but his expression was serious as he watched the alien debate. "Was bound to happen eventually," Cole replied. 500 years is a long time to maintain a quarantine, especially when they don't understand why it exists. The Vorthak are particularly persistent. Ambassador Crix has been pushing this agenda for 3 years now. Our psychic monitoring stations are picking up increased military activity in the outer systems. They are planning something. Cole nodded grimly. How long before they make their move? Our precognitive analysts estimate 6 months, maybe less. The Federation is running out of expansion room, and our systems are too valuable to ignore forever. Then we need to prepare. If they come, we'll have to show them enough truth to send them away, but not so much that it breaks their minds. "Sir," interrupted Lieutenant Martinez from the communication station, "we're receiving a priority alert from Patrol Station 7. Captain Reeves reports an unidentified vessel has just crossed into restricted space near Neptune." Cole and Vasquez exchanged glances. "So it begins," the general said quietly. Captain Thane cursed as his ship's navigation system sparked and died. The smuggler had been running contraband through the outer rim for 20 years, and he prided himself on never getting caught. His ship, the Void Runner, was fast and nearly invisible to most sensors. But something had gone wrong with his jump calculations, and now he was somewhere he definitely should not be. "Boss," called his engineer, a small green-skinned pit Harry. Named Slink, "all our systems are going crazy. The quantum drive is reading impossible energy signatures, and the life support is acting like there are 50 more people on board." Thane studied his star charts with growing horror. The yellow star ahead of them was too familiar. Sol. The Forbidden System. The one place in the galaxy where no ship was allowed to travel. "How far in are we?" he asked, his voice tight with fear. "About 2 billion kilometers from the star," replied Zara, his Kandorian navigator. Her purple skin had turned pale with worry. "We are well past the boundary markers." Before Thane could respond, his view screen flickered to life. A human face appeared, calm and professional. The woman had short black hair and wore a blue uniform with insignia he did not recognize. "Unknown vessel, this is Commander Sarah Chen of the Earth Defense Ship Starguard. You have entered restricted space. Please power down your engines and prepare to be escorted back to neutral territory." Asterisk. Thane had expected threats or demands. Instead, the human sounded almost concerned for his safety. "Commander Chen, this is Captain Thane of the merchant vessel Void Runner. Our navigation system malfunctioned. We mean no harm and wish to leave immediately." "Understood, Captain. However, you have been exposed to this region for several minutes. We need to conduct a brief medical scan to ensure your crew's safety before you depart." "Medical scan?" Thane looked at his crew with confusion. "What kind of medical scan?" Before Chen could answer, Thane's crew began reporting strange experiences. Slink claimed he could suddenly understand languages he had never heard before. Zara said she was seeing lights that were not there, patterns of energy flowing around the ship like living things. The ship's computer started displaying data in symbols none of them recognized, yet somehow they all understood what the symbols meant. "Captain," Chen's voice carried new urgency, "your crew is beginning to show signs of psychic resonance exposure. We need to get you out of this area immediately." "Psychic what?" Thane demanded, but even as he spoke, he felt something strange happening in his mind. Thoughts that were not his own began filtering through his consciousness. Images of vast cities floating in space, of humans moving objects with their minds, of energy beings that had once been flesh and blood. The human ship appeared beside them. Sleek and white with designs that seemed to shift and flow like liquid metal. It was smaller than the Void Runner but somehow felt infinitely more powerful. "Captain Thane," Chen continued, "I am going to guide your ship back to safe space. Do not be alarmed by what you may experience during the journey. The effects will fade once you are outside our territorial boundary. As the human ship began to lead them away from Sol, Thane's crew experienced visions that would haunt them forever. They saw Earth as it truly was, a world where 7 billion humans lived in harmony not just with each other, but with reality itself. They witnessed cities that existed partially in normal space and partially in dimensions beyond physical matter. They observed humans who could travel between stars using nothing but the power of their minds, but strangest of all was the overwhelming sense of sadness they felt from the humans they encountered. Not sadness for themselves, but sadness for the galaxy that could not understand what humanity had become. 3 hours later, the Void Runner crossed back into neutral space. Immediately, their systems returned to normal and the strange visions faded. But the memory remained, along with a deep certainty that they had witnessed something that would change their understanding of the universe forever. Captain Thane. Commander Chen's voice came one final time over the communicator. You and your crew are safe now. Please report this incident to the Federation authorities and recommend that they maintain current restrictions on travel to human space. What you experienced today was just the smallest glimpse of why we remain isolated. The galaxy is not ready for what we have become. As the human ship disappeared back into the Sol system, Thane sat in his captain's chair trying to process what had happened. His crew looked at him with wide eyes, all of them understanding that they had been changed by their brief exposure to human space. Back on Earth, Commander Chen filed her report with a heavy heart. The isolation that had protected the galaxy for 5 centuries was beginning to break down. Soon, the Federation would demand answers that humanity was not sure they were ready to give. In the depths of space, Ambassador Crix received Thane's report with growing excitement. The smuggler's story, instead of discouraging him, only confirmed his belief that humans were hiding something valuable. Something that could change the balance of power in the galaxy forever. The stage was set for a confrontation that would reveal truths the galaxy was not prepared to understand. The truth revealed 6 months after Captain Thane's incident, Ambassador Crix stood aboard the bridge of the most advanced stealth ship ever constructed. The Shadow of Truth was a joint project between 5 major galactic powers, equipped with cloaking technology that rendered it invisible to all known detection methods. Surrounding it were 12 smaller vessels, each crewed by volunteers from different species who had agreed to risk everything to uncover the human mystery. All ships report ready, Ambassador, announced Captain Vega, a skilled military officer from the Altian Star Navy. Her crew of 30 included the galaxy's best scientists, linguists, and tactical specialists. Crix studied the tactical display, showing the edge of human space. Initiate full stealth protocols. We go in quietly, observe their worlds, and return with evidence of what they are hiding. No hostile actions unless absolutely necessary. The fleet crossed into the Sol system, using a route that avoided all known patrol areas. Their sensors showed no immediate signs of detection as they moved deeper into human territory. Earth appeared on their screens as a blue and green jewel, exactly as described in ancient records. Dr. Quantum, a brilliant scientist whose crystalline body could process data at incredible speeds, began scanning the planet. Ambassador, the energy readings from their homeworld are unlike anything in our databases. The entire planet appears to be generating some form of psychic field that extends throughout their solar system. Can you determine the source? Crix asked. The field appears to originate from the human population itself. All 7 billion inhabitants seem to be contributing to a collective energy matrix that surrounds their world. As they moved closer to Earth, the fleet began observing human settlements on the Moon and Mars. What they saw defied everything they knew about civilization and technology. Cities floated in the vacuum of space without any visible support structures. Humans walked on the surface of airless moons without environmental suits, their bodies somehow adapted to survive in conditions that would kill any other known species. Commander Vega activated the ship's advanced recording systems. Are you seeing this? Those humans are manipulating matter at the molecular level without any tools or technology. On the main view screen, they watched a human construction worker named David Park renovating a lunar habitat. He touched damaged metal panels with his bare hands and the material reformed itself into perfect condition. When a section of the building needed to be moved, he simply gestured and the entire structure lifted into the air and relocated itself to the desired position. "This is impossible," whispered Dr. Quantum. "No known species can manipulate matter through thought alone." In a Martian agricultural dome, they observed farmer Jennifer Liu tending to crops that grew at visible rates. Plants responded to her presence, reaching toward her as she walked among them. With a touch of her hand, diseased plants restored themselves to perfect health and barren soil became rich and fertile. "Their agricultural output is beyond our comprehension," reported the ship's xenobiologist. "They appear to be growing enough food to feed populations 10 times their actual size." Asterisk. The most disturbing observations came from their surveillance of human urban centers. Humans moved through their cities in perfect harmony, never colliding or creating traffic problems despite having no visible coordination systems. Children played games that involved making objects dance through the air, while adults held conversations that seemed to involve sharing thoughts directly without speaking. "Ambassador," Captain Vega said nervously, "I recommend we withdraw immediately. We are observing capabilities that pose a potential threat to the entire galaxy." But Crix was fascinated rather than frightened. "Continue observation. We need to understand how they developed these abilities." Their answer came when they intercepted communications from a human research facility. Dr. Marcus Webb, a tall man with silver hair and knowing eyes, was giving a lecture to a group of young humans about their species history. "The change began 400 years ago," Dr. Webb explained to his students. "Humanity reached a critical point in our evolution where our brains developed the ability to directly interface with quantum fields. Within a generation, every human on Earth and our early colonies experienced what we call the Great Awakening." The alien observers listened in stunned silence as Dr. Webb continued his lesson. "Our ancestors discovered that consciousness is not limited to the brain. It extends into dimensions beyond physical reality. When humans learned to access these dimensions, we gained abilities that other species consider impossible. We can manipulate matter because we understand that matter is just energy expressing itself in physical form. We can communicate telepathically because all conscious minds are connected at the quantum level." One student raised her hand. "Dr. Webb, why do we maintain isolation from the other species in the galaxy? Could we not teach them what we have learned?" Dr. Webb's expression grew sad. "We tried in the early days after the awakening. But exposure to our evolved consciousness has devastating effects on non-human minds. Their brains are not equipped to process the quantum information that flows naturally around us. Extended contact causes madness, memory loss, or complete psychological breakdown." Aboard the stealth ship, Dr. Quantum's crystalline form began to flicker. "Ambassador, I am experiencing severe data corruption. The longer we remain in this system, the more unstable my processing matrix becomes." Similar problems were affecting other crew members. The hive mind representatives reported losing connection with their collective. The robotic crew members were experiencing cascading system failures. The organic species were developing headaches, hallucinations, and memory gaps. "We need to leave," Captain Vega insisted. "Our minds cannot handle prolonged exposure to whatever the humans have become." But before they could begin their withdrawal, Dr. Webb appeared on their main view screen. He was sitting calmly in his research facility, looking directly at the camera as if he could see them. "Greetings to our galactic neighbors," he said with a gentle smile. "We have been aware of your presence since you entered our system. We appreciate your curiosity about our species, but we must ask you to leave for your own safety." Crix activated the ship's communicator. "Dr. Webb, I am Ambassador Crix of the Galactic Trade Federation. We have come seeking understanding. Why do your people isolate themselves from the rest of the galaxy?" "Because, Ambassador, we love the galaxy too much to destroy it," Dr. Webb replied. "What you call isolation, we call protection. Our evolution has made us incompatible with other forms of consciousness. We remain in our systems not to hoard resources or hide secrets, but to prevent accidental harm to billions of innocent beings." "What kind of harm?" Dr. Quantum managed to ask through his deteriorating systems. Dr. Webb stood and walked to a window that looked out over a city where buildings floated in the air and humans moved like dancing lights. When humans interact extensively with other species, our psychic field begins to alter their neural structures. We have seen entire populations lose their individual identities, absorbed into a collective consciousness they cannot escape. We have witnessed species develop abilities they cannot control, tearing apart their societies with unintended telepathic intrusions. As if to demonstrate his point, several members of Crix's crew suddenly found themselves experiencing shared thoughts and emotions. The barriers between their individual minds began to dissolve, creating panic and confusion throughout the fleet. "Please," Dr. Webb said urgently, "you must leave now, before the changes become permanent." Crix felt his own consciousness expanding beyond his physical body. For a brief moment, he experienced what it was like to be human, to feel the interconnectedness of all life, to understand the fundamental unity that existed beneath the apparent chaos of the universe. The knowledge was beautiful and terrifying, filling him with wonder and driving him to the edge of madness. "Withdraw immediately," he ordered his fleet. "All ships, emergency departure." As the stealth fleet raced toward the edge of human space, Dr. Webb's voice followed them one final time. "Ambassador Crix, we will ensure that your crew suffers no permanent damage from this encounter. But please, share with your people the truth of why we remain isolated. We are not your enemy, but we are no longer entirely your species either. We have become something that the galaxy is not ready to understand." The moment they crossed back into neutral space, the alien crew members felt the strange sensations fade from their minds. But something had changed. They carried with them a deep understanding that humanity had evolved beyond the physical limitations that bound other species. They had become beings of pure consciousness that chose to maintain physical form out of compassion for the rest of the galaxy. Back on Earth, Dr. Webb joined a gathering of human leaders who had monitored the entire encounter. They sat in a circle in a room that existed partially in normal space and partially in dimensions beyond physical reality. "They will return," said Commander Chen, who had dealt with the earlier incident. "Their curiosity will overcome their fear." "Perhaps," Dr. Webb replied. "But at least now they understand that our isolation is an act of love, not hostility. We protect the galaxy from ourselves, because the gift of evolution comes with the responsibility to use it wisely." High above Earth, the aurora borealis danced across the sky in patterns that spelled out messages of peace and protection in languages that had not yet been invented. Humanity continued its quiet guardianship of the galaxy, patient and eternal, waiting for the day when other species might be ready to join them in the next stage of consciousness. Ambassador Crix returned to the Federation with a story that few would believe and evidence that mysteriously vanished from their recording systems. But deep in classified files, the truth remained, known only to the highest levels of galactic government. Humanity was not hiding from the galaxy. The galaxy was being protected from humanity by humans themselves, until the day when all species could evolve together into something greater than any of them could imagine alone. The forbidden zone around human space remained in place. But now those who enforced it understood that it was not a barrier of fear, but a boundary of love, maintained by a species that had chosen wisdom over power and isolation over domination. In the vast darkness between the stars, humanity waited, patient and eternal, guardians of a galaxy that did not yet understand what they were being guarded from.